I mean, it's weird because I can hear you, but it doesn't really sound like I'm hearing you much.
No, I don't know. I can hear me in my headphones.
Oh, there it is.
Is
Through
this
the
thing
microphone.
on? Is this thing on? Because we're on.
Yeah, we're on.
We're on the podcast now. We're podcasting.
We're always on.
Yeah, we are. Hey, good morning, Megan and Colleen. How's it going?
Going pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, we're excited to be back, brought to you, of course, by audible.com. And they are sponsoring the fabulous Great Northern Sex Cast. And it's good to have everybody here. And we love Audible. We do. We're fans, and we have people that, avid consumers of Audible within the Great Northern Sex Cast crew. So we thank them for being a sponsor. And you can get a free book, too. You go to audible.com/social, or audibletrial.com, /social, and you can get a free audiobook. And that's worth, like, what, $15?
$15. And the /social is very important.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. They need to know where it came from.
Yeah. Well, and we have to get credit for, because they have to know that it's doing some good.
Mm-hmm.
So, So awesome, guys. Good to see you all. And just checking. I mean, we're getting into the really, it's for the extent that it's been freaking raining outside. It doesn't feel summery or spring, but it's got to be getting into the really crazy busy season over there.
Well, honestly, we are in we're ramping up to the beginning of the bridal season.
Mm-hmm.
But you got a lot of stuff happening in Minnesota. You've got Mother's Day, which we just had, Father's Day coming up, a lot of graduations, people are opening up their cabins, fishing opener, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this, while we maintain, this is time when we get some stuff done.
Oh, really?
Or update. We realized, when was the last time we updated the store manual? What century was that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've got list of lists. I mean, you guys all know that I felt like shit for a month.
Mm-hmm.
So
Are you better, by the way, finally?
I'm still coughing, but most folks I know have been coughing for 6 or 8 weeks after the shit. So, like I said, I got a personal list of shit just totally done. And I have it on my phone. And I don't know about anybody else, but I've got to start writing it back on paper because it's not as satisfying to backspace something than it is to take the pen and go scratch, 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 scratch. I love that. I'm like, it's not the same. It just isn't. But no, we're ramping up to Pride. We've got a seminar coming up. We're trying to make it easier to figure out our store pickup thing because we've been having our website allows you to choose a time and place for pickup. Well, we're not a 24/7 business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a little frustrating because I can't seem to get it tweaked right to where people understand that until you get this other email, it's not ready. And it's been a little frustrating because with Target and Amazon and everyone people think that they can place the order and show up like 45 minutes later.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm feeling bad because we're not big enough. We can't do it. I want to. Mm-hmm. We're trying really hard. And so I think, I think we have a solution. But we now we have to implement it.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers out, because I just feel really bad because folks show up to pick something up and the employee doesn't know anything about it. And if you order something at 5:00 in the morning on Saturday, we're not going to see it until Monday at 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it just we're like I said we're not Amazon.
We do not have magical toy fairies.
Yeah.
Or
Have you had
dildo
any
drones, as we've discussed before.
Yeah, I mean, it would be lovely. And I've driven stuff out to folks. Someone orders something late on a Thursday or Friday, I'll drive out to a store and get it there. But it's during the work week. I mean, I'm just like, so I just feel so bad.
Have you had any meltdowns? I need that vibrator now.
No, it's not. I mean, they've been disappointed. A lot of times the stuff's been in the store and they've gotten it after a phone call or this or that. But it's frustrating for everyone, and we're trying to figure it out because when we first started this, we're like, how's it going? But now it's ramping up and it's growing, and I'm like, oh, okay. You just don't, you don't know what you don't know, and so we're figuring it out. So I think that's the biggest thing we're dealing with.
Are all the remodels pretty much done now?
For the time being, we've gonna have some security systems we're working on, and I finally fixed the potholes in my office parking lot, which really, it's
at the warehouse, at the headquarters.
Yeah, yeah, they were. Now, mind you, they kept the folks from the local company from tearing through our parking lot and almost killing us. But there's still some potholes on the other on the neighbor's property that's going to slow folks down.
So did you bring in a company, or what'd you do?
Oh yeah. We put enough Band-Aids on them over the years, and even did my own, like go to Menards and buy bags of crap and stomp on it. But finally, they we dug it out, and a company did it, and the neighbor would go over and look. It was so deep that they were out there looking for agates.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they were.
Are you serious? They were like rock hounding in the parking lot? My
Uh-huh.
God.
I'm really glad I didn't mess it up because they were there and it was all behind where all the vans park. And I was ready to leave. And I was like, all right, Megan, pull forward. Don't back up like you always do. Pull
'Cause
forward.
don't you have kind of a tiny car?
No,
No,
well,
she's
I
in the
have
van.
personally, but I'm driving the big
the big one.
sex
Okay.
mobile,
Oh, right,
so to speak.
Okay.
So, and of course, I immediately, not even thinking, back right up, knock over a cone. And I'm like, oh, thank God it was dry enough.
Yeah, just normal stuff.
We didn't have potholes in California. I mean, we had them, but
But you have earthquakes. I'll take the pothole.
okay.
Okay.
All right. You know what? I'm just going to stop right there. So we've got a few things. We had those of you who are our good friends and regular Great Northern Sex Cast listeners. We had a missing podcast, and we to this day still do not entirely know what happened. We've taken it off the page so you won't accidentally bumble on to the one that has nothing.
Well, it could have been like art, 50
Yeah.
cents. It wasn't. There was some sort of band or something that did.
I wanted to say that I don't know about that. I wanted to say they were, obviously the podcast was a big Simon and Garfunkel fan. So it was all about the sound of silence. It was sad. I was on fire for that.
You
episode.
were. It was your best show ever. It was. So, but we brought some of the stuff back because it was just that good, and it's just the kind of stuff that we just don't want to leave untold. And some of this, Megan, really a lot of it that we're bringing back for today's show is stuff that you found, and we really need to start back. And I'm ever so slightly disappointed that Liz isn't here because all you have to do is say Mallard to her, and she goes off for like 5 minutes about what horrible rapists and pillagers and misogynists they are as a species, and we all thought they were so cute. Penguins, a particular kind of penguin that Megan found, the Adelie penguins, and what cracks me up about this story, among so many other things, although it's not funny for the female penguins, is that this all was studied in 1911 and 1912, but because it was Edwardian England, the findings were not widely published, even though technically they're science.
You can't handle the truth.
No, I just think it's funny for they're writing this out and doing all these studies, and they're like, but we can't tell anyone because it would offend delicate sensibilities or some crap like that.
It would put me in hysterics.
And most of the people shaking their heads and fingers in public have, S&M closets with ball gags at home, right?
Yeah. Oh, generally it tends to be the issue.
Yeah. No, well, these cute little, about approximate 2 foot tall little penguins, and they are, what penguin isn't cute? I'm sorry, even the big ones are cute. They were really, really disgusting, very promiscuous, and they did, they had unpaired male-female penguin on penguin sex.
What?
Ooh. Because everybody thought that these things mate for life, and some of them, I guess, that they do. But they also engage in rape, gang rape, sexual and physical abuse of chicks. Okay, not cool.
Mm-hmm.
And necrophilia. Some penguins, some of the dead bodies had been dead from the previous season. Ew.
Well,
I guess they're on ice. I mean,
Oh, God.
They're frozen little
gonna
suckers.
stay okay for a while.
It's just one of those things where everybody, there's not really a lot of things that are uniquely human. People keep
Thumbs. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
The rest of it's all fair game.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, mammals can be assholes no matter what.
I was surprised to hear about dolphins, quite frankly.
Yeah, dolphins, cannibal, murdering, rapists.
God.
Animals are kind of evil. Nature's a jerk.
Yeah, pretty much wants to kill you, especially if you're in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, if you see something that, if you see like a large spider run, on your Facebook feed or something, why? It's always from Australia.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
You're right.
the stuff that you're just like,
Oh, the worst are those pictures of the men and women who are like serving in Iraq and such, and the desert camel spiders.
Oh, my God.
That they have out there.
Oh, my God.
That are like feet across. Oh, they're so terrifying.
Not good. Well, a final note on the penguins, because this just is so funny. We got to mention it. They pimp the females out.
Yes, hooker penguins.
Hooker penguins, but the hooker penguins are also street smart because they roll the other penguins for their stones, and they put the stones out, and the female penguins go, and then they beat up the John penguin and take his stones.
It's funny though they're being so devious yet look so classy.
Oh, I
'Cause
know.
They've all got their little tuxedos on
dressed
while
up.
they're raping and prostituting.
So do humans.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Does FR? She's not prom age yet, is she?
No.
No, not quite. So you're not in that season particularly.
No.
My little sister just had her prom.
Really?
Yeah, it was very
Aw.
exciting. Her senior prom.
Oh, so how many more years? Okay, you get a junior and a senior, right?
I think
Yep.
I don't think they're separate. I think at my daughter's school you can go whether you're a junior or senior. But of course, if you're a date, you can go of a junior or senior. I think you can go. with permission.
You essentially have two chances.
Yeah.
Usually at prom, unless you're, the hottest freshman in town, and I had that problem, obviously.
Well, yearbook season. We're getting close, and those things are no small feat at any particular school. A kid in Phoenix just missed being brought up on charges. Have you seen this story?
I saw a headline. I did not have a chance to do the whole clickbait thing.
Okay. For exposing himself in a picture that made it into the yearbook. And what it was, here's how it was. It was the football team picture. And there's 59 football players and coaches, and then 10 more additional school staff. Okay, so this is a picture of a boatload of people. Okay, he was dared by teammates to pull his penis up so that it was poking up out of his waistband.
Okay, so just a little bit of the tip.
Just the
Okay.
tip.
And it made it into the yearbook.
And nobody saw this.
Until it was too late. And he was 18 when he did it. And
Ooh, there's a problem.
oh yeah, I mean, and so the Mesa Police Department got involved, and then the Maricopa County Attorney. After all of this conversation and the following statement from the kid who perpetrated this heinous crime he said, I did it on a dare, and I'm disgusted by what I've done. And they said, okay, we're not going to charge you.
And yeah, I mean, he said the right things. It was a dare, and teenagers are idiots for the most part. And I'm like, but with the rules out there now, there's no separating that from the person who takes the kid off the bus stop. You know what I mean? There's nothing in between. You cannot be that stupid anymore. Now, he should have also offered to grab a Sharpie and go through every yearbook and go, scratch it all out. But I can't believe it didn't get through. I mean, that's what you have all the advisors for and all that sort of stuff. I mean,
I guess it was no big deal. I mean, obviously, it really. I mean, but
had to,
he could have been labeled a sex offender.
offender.
I mean, he was that close. So I'm glad that it turned out, the way that he did. But God, you can't
actually,
even.
some common sense finally on something like that.
Oh my God, that does not make its way into the next story. This
No
is
common sense?
Bowling Green University 19-year-old girl partying on a fake ID. Mistook a food truck for her own car. She was that hammered and took off in the food truck. Wow. Yeah.
What does she drive like a?
No, nothing. They look nothing alike. Trust me.
That's hammered.
That's a big blunder.
Yeah.
Yep. She, when they finally caught up with her and she dinged up the food truck, the poor food truck owner, I feel bad for, because he had stopped. He was making a delivery, and he comes out and his truck's gone, hijacked by a drunk girl, who handed, upon her arrest, a fake ID showing that she was 21. So they did let her out on her OR. And she's in big trouble. I mean, she's got property damage. She's got a DUI. She's got all this other kind of stuff. But can I just read you this from her LinkedIn profile? A well-organized, detail-oriented, and conscientious self-starter, able to prioritize effectively to accomplish multiple tasks and stay calm under pressure.
Negated by booze.
Don't drink and cater.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
I think I could, if I was to be that wasted, which is just not going to happen anymore, but and there was a food truck, I would be making the food.
Right. I would break into the truck to make
food
tacos or whatever.
Yeah.
Chow down.
I wouldn't think about driving
Carve up.
off with it.
No, they would be like food truck. Food, I would be much more interested in the food than the driving of it.
Yeah, me too. Me too, but she thought she was going home. Colleen, you're going to take it away for this one. Bananas made the news, and I found this yesterday, and you sent it to me today, and set her up.
Well, of course, once again, folks send me stuff that has anything related, to anything remotely sexual. And the thing that ran across my feed this morning was a story about the Chinese government cracking down on what they consider inappropriate internet sites. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that they've there's a lot of folks, just like we have here, have at-home cameras, and they make extra money, filming themselves, doing this and that. Some of them are probably things I would probably agree with for censorship, but that's a whole nother thing. But one of them is, and the one that caught the headline and is making the rounds here, is the fact that there is a website in which people eat bananas erotically, and they have decided that this is too much. I mean, literally, out of all the things
that people are doing online,
the eating the bananic. I made a new word, banana in an erotic manner, is they've deemed that to be inappropriate behavior.
That shit is bananas. BANANAS.
And I just looked at this and I went, really, bananas? I mean, there's probably a whole bunch of horrible things, that 99% of human beings on this planet would consider inappropriate behavior. I'm pretty sure eating a banana would not even hit that list. Yeah, I don't. It's like, and I think when folks do stuff like that, I mean, yes, it's their government and it's totalitarian; they can do whatever they want. But I think when they lump that into everything else, it makes them look like idiots. And yeah.
I wonder how big the market for banana eating erotic videos are. Like, I don't know that I would find it that appealing.
Oh, she went there. She did.
Bad pun. Check. There we go.
I'm talking to my brother.
What minute in are we?
Oh my God.
Yeah, where are we on?
We've got that little hook thing that they use in vaudeville, Megan.
Oh, I'm familiar.
No. I'm actually very, very fond of the bad. I enjoy a bad pun.
My brother is the king of bad puns. Seriously. I mean, it's and you know what? I completely and totally feel dirty every time I laugh because it's just
amazing.
Just so bad.
I really need to. There's actually pun off competitions. I really want to go to one day.
Awesome. Britain brings us some fun today. I got this first story I think is really, really interesting. Concussions have been in the news and all of that with the NFL. And
tell the truth. Sorry.
It's okay. All right, be yourself. Crack me up. No, so this is a 53-year-old high-ranking Irish government official. He's like a, civil servant kind of guy, but he's got some, hoity-toity government position there. And long story short, he had a head injury several years back, was in a coma for a couple of weeks, and described himself prior to that. It was very, very reserved, shy, and very introverted, and he could hardly talk to women. I mean, just, whatever. Comes out of this coma. He says, I was in a coma for 2 weeks, and when I woke up, I felt like a different man. I looked the same and sounded the same. I guess I was the same, but there was this new extension to my personality. Suddenly, I was extroverted, full of fun, and couldn't help it. And his favorite thing to do now is wear, in his words, tardy stockings and high heels. He likes to be a transvestite now. This was all new behavior from the head injury. He's married. He's got kids. He's a heterosexual guy. And he says, most of my colleagues know. I don't make a secret about it. But he said, it's changed my life, and I am absolutely, thoroughly, and completely happy and having more fun. And the article, it's kind of a long article. You should read it. I sent you the link. Mm-hmm. But he talks about the juxtaposition of what he felt like before and how he feels now. And he feels free and liberated and happy. And yes, he does something now that some people would find weird. He's so accepting of and obviously his wife is too. But he's like, yeah, I found happiness after a head injury.
That's very strange.
Isn't that weird?
Probably injured the area that represses things.
The shame center of the brain.
And maybe it was there and he didn't even know it.
Yeah.
You know, it's going through there, or this is what's going through there.
Although you hear about people who like get head injuries or go through like a really crazy fever and stuff, and they wake up and suddenly they can speak French or some other language they've never been able to before. I wonder if it's a similar.
I don't know. But one of his hobbies these days is, of course, dressing up as Frankenfurter, Rocky Horror, and cavorting. That's kind of his look.
I was going to say, because I would say he's not a transvestite. He's a cross-dresser.
Yeah, you're right.
But I guess if he's specifically dressing up like the sweet transvestite from Transsexual Transylvania, then maybe.
Yeah, it depends.
The name fits.
Sometimes it's a cross-dresser, sometimes it's a transvestite. It just depends on the occasion.
It's easy to mess that up. It's easy to mess up in those waters, I'll tell you right now. And boy, did we ever learn that with the trans community, didn't we? Holy mother. Because remember all the different people that we talked to, and they all have kind of different things. And Denise, who came in, we got to get her back because she's married now. She would have had her wedding. And so I'd love to talk to her after that. But she was talking about kind of the infighting and the shaming within the community.
And the labels, I don't think there's too many communities that don't have that. Because you start out small and then it grows, and then the people that were there at the beginning feel put on about the people that have a different experience now. And I wonder, how come you need so many labels? And, I'm like, use all the labels you want until they're not needed. I mean, this is sort of how I, going through there, and what's really fascinating is you just find out all the things that you didn't know, and you just, and I'm like, okay, that's what you want to be called. I'm fine.
I wonder if that would mean like that's when we would reach the point of true inclusion where you don't need labels anymore. If everything is accepted, there's no reason to differentiate yourself from other people with a label.
Well, that and I get what you're saying, and that's quite lofty. But doesn't it freak you out yet, guys? Whenever you talk with people, like maybe in a conversation with someone in the trans community, all of a sudden it's like, wow, there's a whole new world of ways that I can offend people that I didn't even know. Holy crap, that makes me nervous. Does that ever freak you out a little bit?
I'm not.
I guess I'm used to it a little bit. I have a couple of trans individuals that I work with, and I just say, hey, what pronoun do you prefer? And then they tell me, and that's what I use. I guess I haven't had a situation where if you make a mistake out of genuine ignorance as opposed to malice, where people are, I haven't had a situation where someone's going to be mad. Now, if you say, hey, freak, that's different than if you use the wrong pronoun or the wrong term. I don't think
not to take
too much judgment.
And I agree in most arenas, but I mean, and I, not to take this down too serious of a path, but I have seen a situation where somebody has said something that was like a cliche that they did not know the roots in it were racist. And it was, I can assure you, because I was there, it was completely innocent. And then people have just gone completely down their throats. I think that we could all use a little more tolerance to kind of maybe consider the source a little bit more and not just, maybe make the assumption. I guess that's where I'm kind of going with that, because it gets dicey.
Yeah, it is. And sometimes it says a lot more about the person that's reacting. There was another issue where out of nowhere someone was, it was called, like a woman hater. And I'm like, I don't think this person knows this person, because, usually like there's just no way. And I looked at everything and I'm like, this is a lot more about that person's baggage than the mistake that was supposedly happened. And I see that a lot. I just don't, I'm like, okay, at one point, you're not going to change somebody's mind that they feel they were offended. They're fine. I mean, they might feel offended. Doesn't mean they're right. And if you're not going to change their mind, you just got to go, nothing I can do here.
They have the right to feel offended.
Yeah. I mean, they may be wrong. I mean, I'm not saying that their feeling isn't, that they're not feeling it. But if someone did not go at it from a malice way, if someone can't accept that, then that's that person's problem, and not the person who did. And the person just has to go, we're at an impasse here, and you're just going to have to deal with your anger because I'm done.
Right. Assuming the person doesn't double down.
Yeah.
Like I've seen that a lot. In particular, in like the cosplay community, there was a big deal going on where there's this Caucasian woman, I think she's Australian or something, and she dressed up like Michonne from The Walking Dead. And so she did her makeup to make herself appear African American. And it's not like the traditional Al Johnson jazz singer blackface, but it is still, I mean, you are putting on makeup to appear black. It is still blackface. And so people were saying, hey, just so you know, that's not appropriate. That's not okay. And the woman got defensive about it. And I think that's where another issue can come in if you double down and say, well, I had good intentions, so if it offends you, screw you. That's too bad. You know.
Yeah. There's, you know, you're the idea that everyone's going to be happy with your choices or you're going to be happy with somebody else's choices. It seems to be what people think is going to happen. That's just not going to happen. I'm never going to convince some people that it's perfectly okay for me to exist. You know, like for fantasy gifts to exist, or someone's, you know, and you're never gonna. And I'm like, at one point, you just have to, you have to shake off the baggage and just move on. You know, if you've done everything you can, they're gonna, you know, eventually someone will learn that they were an asshole, whether they, you know, or they won't. Eventually, you will learn you were wrong, or you won't. You'd like someone to realize they were an asshole. You'd like someone to realize that they were wrong. But you can't get in there and rearrange someone's. You're just not.
Yeah.
You just, you know, and if someone's going to be, you know, just not move, you know, the person who feels they were wrong just can't realize that I can't change that. And that goes for a lot of there's a lot of crap out in the world where you just gotta, they're not going to change even though they're wrong. And it's really frustrating.
It is.
But to carry that inside you, that's gonna.
true.
That's that frustration level is gonna be really, really tough.
And that is a personal choice, I guess.
Yeah.
We can't leave Britain yet.
No.
This one's a beauty, and I do kind of feel bad. I think this guy did everything that he could do, but he's the British Culture Secretary. His name is John Whittingdale, and he looks so British. I mean, in his suit, and he looks constipated and distinguished and, you know, whatever. Well, he was single. He was divorced, and he goes on Match.com. Fine. I'm a match couple. What he didn't realize after dating this gal who he describes as of similar age and lived close to him was that her actual job was a dominatrix. She didn't disclose that to him. They were photographed at several events, something sponsored by MTV, and his ministry is called the Ministry of Fun because he deals with the sports. He must have the best freaking job in the British government. I'm telling you right now. But yeah, and he said, at no time did she give me any indication of a real occupation, and I only discovered it when I was made aware that someone was trying to sell a story about me to the tabloids, and as soon as I discovered, I ended the relationship. And he said, yeah, I'm embarrassed. You know, this was weird, and I, you know, was just out dating and whatnot. I think that's crappy to go after him. I mean, you know, that could happen to anybody. I mean, you do your best that you can to vet these people and match, but somebody could still lie to you about what they do.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know. And I mean, he didn't lose his job or anything over this, did he?
No.
Okay.
But he's just taking some, you know, blows in the media.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's not too much you can't say over that. You know, that wouldn't be fun in a British paper's headline, let me tell you.
But if he's the Minister of Fun, you know, maybe he was just research. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, but if you didn't know, you know, I do think that it is, you know, someone's, you know, responsibility to at one point. I don't know if it needs to come up on the first date, but if you've been dating for a while, I would think that the way you pay your mortgage should probably be part of the conversation.
Yeah, how they went on dates and never discussed.
But people could lie.
Work.
She could have lied, guys. She
lied.
probably has a cover. I mean, she probably doesn't bring that up over coffee with, you know, everybody.
No, it's in poor taste. She's got to realize, you know, that person's got to realize that her background could really mess with the guy that if they went out for a while that she obviously sort of liked, unless she was the one behind the blackmail.
And they were kind of a handsome couple. I mean, she's kind of, they did look very appropriate together. You know, she was pretty, but she was, you know, they looked very good for each other.
Well, it's too bad for him.
I know. I felt bad for him.
I know. I never. I'm always a little careful when when I'm dating, to tell people.
You haven't closed the door, have you?
I work. Not yet. No.
Okay.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah,
Guy.
it's it can be frustrating, but like I said, I made the decision quite a number of years ago. I said, well, I'm going to be on TV, so
Well, I have to be careful just because, like, you meet some guy on OkCupid and you go out for a first date, and like, as I'm sure you've dealt with, Colleen, like when you tell people where you work, the levels of assumptions that come with that.
Just meeting folks at a party, the conversation sometimes, and I usually just change it to this is talking about work. I don't want to talk about work, and I usually can usually
Do
squash
you
it.
still get goofiness? Yeah. You're kidding me. You don't get you must get at least some level of people going, how cool? What's that like?
Yeah, a little bit, for the most part. But there's still occasionally the folks that are just obviously have, once again, their own personal baggage about sex, and they just, they just wig out. And it's usually like friends of friends when you're at a larger thing or something like that. And I can usually just, get rid of the conversation real fast by going, yeah, let's not talk about work. Just like if I was just like it was any other job.
Right.
Let's just not talk about work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, I've never had anyone get that weird about it. I've had people get weird, like, well, obviously you must be a slut who has the Kama Sutra memorized then, right? So, and I just sell stuff.
Yeah.
Now I'm just in charge of other people selling stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm twice removed.
And thank you, by the way, very much for shortening my learning curve about what an ignorant twit you are.
Right. Maybe I should throw it out on the first date a little more so then I could not waste my time with the second.
No.
From an HR standpoint, I'm really curious what you guys were going to think about this one. This is a bartender in New York in the Tribeca area, and it's not a strip club. And I preface that because I will tell you her name, Jamelia Bliss. She's suing, I should say, her boss, Club Remix, because apparently they do special events at the club, everything from baby showers to bridal to, whatever, but they also do sex parties, but they were not warned about the sex parties and they are required to work them. And long story short, she was told by her boss, who has this insane Greek name that I'm not even going to attempt. He said, look, you're fired if you don't work these parties. And she's like, look, I'm trying to hand people a drink and they're naked and they're committing sex acts right in front of me. And it's like, I don't want to work those. And so she's seeking undisclosed damages, and it's an interesting story that's playing itself out in New York District Court.
I think if she knew, you can change the rules. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure what New York state law is. But if this is a new thing and she was hired without knowing, something like that, she probably has a case. If it's an old thing and she took the job knowing that these occur, then that might be a problem.
She claims not. She claims that this was foisted upon her. And his attitude has been, what's your problem?
Yeah, she'll more than likely she's going to have a case and stuff like that. But it's been, I don't know. People just get freaky about sex. Would she say, I'm not comfortable serving a drink to a biracial couple? It's just, where is the line there?
I think the line is that
if they're fucking, I think that could be
you're
weird.
walking into the splash zone of bodily fluids.
Yeah, I'm saying is I don't.
That would be my line.
And I'm thinking that the bar's lawyers are going to go in that direction.
Sure, that's going to be their argument.
That's going to be their argument. And, even though it is way, way, way exaggerated, that's what I'm saying. Whereas hers going to be is that, this is blatant sex in front of me is different than all of these other things. And they're going to have to decide, the courts are going to have to decide whether or not that goes. I think if the rules were changed, if the rules were actually changed, that, I'm not, I've never, always said I have no problems with new bodies or anything like that. But I don't think that I want to watch folks I don't think, making someone watch
I don't
sex.
need to see it. You're fine.
Yeah.
Go knock yourselves out. I just don't want to stand next to you while you do it.
That it's still that particular area still is more of a private thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Meg,
Well,
you were dying to say something.
I got a couple thoughts, and one is that why is this owner, the club owner, forcing people to do this to begin with? Like, if
to
you're,
work them.
yeah. I'm just wondering if he's maybe he's getting a little enjoyment out of the fact that he's forcing people into these
Okay, that's a good thought,
situations. It just seems odd where if someone, I mean, any job you could request a day off, you know, if someone says, I'm not, it's obviously not a job requirement that needed to be discussed up front. So why it can be a job requirement after the fact is a little baffling. And I would be not excited as a waitress either, because where are they going to put your tip money?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you would end up getting the shaft working that event.
Oh, the puns are back.
No, it is, as much as sometimes we'd like to think that it's not different than any other thing, that is different. It is. It really, yeah.
Because, I mean, you come into this, we're not forcing people to look at sex when they come into us either.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, I suppose this, you know, you could do the same thing too, as if there was a boxing event. I'm not sure I would want to see someone get pummeled to death, you know, the blood and the bodily fluids. Maybe that's a closer thing.
Right.
Same,
I mean,
yeah, boxing, you know, boxing events, or if you had a, you know, if you decided that the Ku Klux Klan decided that they wanted to have an event in the party, you know, that's, you know, what a lot of people would be considered, you know, not appropriate. I mean, you know, in a public venue, you know, maybe, you know, lumping it together like that.
Made me think of Mrs. Sin and the swinging community, which we have a pretty vibrant one apparently here in Minnesota. And it made me think about how they do contract with venues to have events. But do you remember how she described the way it was handled? I mean, they do have private areas in some of the clubs that I've been to for things, for like charity things, you know, whatnot. But they kind of keep it.
Yeah, everybody knows
Cool.
what's going on. Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure that they probably ask for, you know, volunteer staff and stuff like that. Then again, the venues that they're going to ask for something like that probably, you know, yeah, I can't imagine that they would, you know, force anyone. Yeah, and I don't know what the rules are in Great Britain, but I think, or no, this is
New York.
I think she'll probably win. They tend to be fairly an employee centric city.
I think she has a case.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're silly not to settle with her, quite frankly. Can't let a week go by if there's a good panty thief out there that's been particularly successful. It's definitely an honorable mention.
Is it another cat?
No, this is a dude, a Japanese guy named Tomohiro
Not as cute.
Onma.
No,
More than 200 bras and pants on 50 separate theft forays. And the police tracked him down because somebody saw him snatching things from a clothesline. And he just couldn't, you know, control himself. And he finally, when caught, admitted that they do fulfill a sexual a desire that he has. And finally, just next to him, Pablo Munoz is in trouble. He's Puerto Rican. More than 1,000 items of underwear from Victoria's Secret. This took a lot of work. He smuggled them out under his own clothes. So I just think it's interesting. They don't really have too many guys going into the dressing rooms at Victoria's. So this was a Herculean effort for him, worth 18,000 pounds.
Wow. That one's a little more surprising because I feel like if nobody's worn the underwear, then I'm not.
It's less
what's
of a-
what's the point? I was going to say what's the appeal again, but felt it wouldn't really work
No,
this time. So I go
no.
back.
No, the whole thing is that when you head over to Victoria's Secret, and you know everyone is shorthanded in retail, and the stuff is it really. I mean, you could easily just grab something and stuff it in your jacket or bag.
It's tiny.
I mean, that stuff is not even.
Right, but I mean, why? I guess unless he is a cross dresser and wears them, why? I mean, I'm sorry if I'm an underwear fan, like I'm going to steal used underwear because that's. Well, I think some of the fantasy is that someone's crotch was in them.
I just mention him because I see him as a top producer. He threw down, and he really got a lot done.
Well,
but
I mean, you know, that's going to take up a lot of storage space. I mean,
yeah, well, they're silky and they're small enough.
Yeah. But even so, you said 18,000 pieces?
1,000 items worth 18,000 pounds. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
One other quick thing. Chick made the police blotter in Massachusetts. She met a first date for a hike and tried to feign illness to get out of the date, and cops were called. And she had to talk her way out of a false police report when she finally was like, look, here's the deal. And they let her off the hook. But everybody's saying, you know what? Try something else. Not your first option for ducking out. And by the way, don't go on a hike and get yourself out into the woods with somebody you don't know.
No, that is a terrible, terrible first date. Mm-hmm. Do you know what's in the woods? Mm-hmm. Joggers and the dead bodies that joggers find.
Mm-hmm.
That's
right.
it.
Yeah.
Why would
possibly the people that killed the joggers. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Oh, that's bad.
Dial 911 to get out of a date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she called the cops herself, or did the guy call thinking, trying to be chivalrous?
Murky. But there was all these tweets in this story of hysterical police blotter things, and I sent you the link. So, Meg, we should put those up because there's a lot of other preposterous reasons people called. And God bless 911 operators.
Oh,
my sister is one. Bless them indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. I bet she's got the stories.
Mm-hmm.
I just, when you see some of that stuff when people called the cops because they didn't get enough ketchup packets at McDonald's or something, you're just like, you've got to be kidding me.
The one she did mention that's relatively safe to say was some lady called the cops because the ducks weren't leaving the lake. She felt it was getting too far along in the season and the ducks had not flown south yet, so she called the police because the ducks were still there on the lake.
That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she cares about wildlife. Right. So we got to revisit these things today before we wrap up our show because these are things, and Megan can repost these because I'm sure that they've fallen through the feed on the Great Northern Sex Cast. But Megan, you found, I don't know, you were on a roll this one particular week, the 5 impractical fetishes that just absolutely slay me. And the writing on these are just it's not to be missed. Number 5, vorarophilia. And this is getting cooked and eaten. So this is a one and done kind of deal. This is your big moment, and then it's not anymore.
I just can't even.
Unless you're the eater.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it's the same term for both.
Now you're into Hannibal Lecter territory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
Have you seen Hannibal?
Oh, God, those things are so true.
I think Mads could eat me up.
No, they're just.
Judging from the show, I bet he's amazing in the sack. He's the refined gentleman, very worldly and educated. Like, I think he knows what he's doing.
He's going to snack on your. No.
Yeah. Colleen's not buying into it.
As long as you're not rude.
Okay. Oh,
Here, I'm just going to deprive you of a body part, but really it's fine. Oh, God. Spectrophilia. This is ghost fucking, people. Fucking ghosts.
I feel like, I wonder if it's like Ghostbusters is what starts this fetish in people. Like that Dan Aykroyd getting ghostly blowjob scene is like young men everywhere are like, ooh, this has awoken something inside of me.
Yeah. So they think they're going to, they want to fuck a ghost, or they think they've been screwing a ghost, or just the idea, or you can like, or it's a ghost.
Sexual encounters
fantasy.
with ghosts.
Kesha fucked a ghost, according to her.
Okay.
Yeah, she's had ghostly lovers.
I think maybe because she was smoking something.
Yeah, she probably fits all of these on the list because she also has a necklace of human teeth that fans have sent her.
Oh.
I love her. I love her so much because I was like, any girl who has a necklace full of teeth and thinks she's been fucked by a ghost and she's a pop star, like, I think that's amazing.
Okie dokie.
Sorry, that was a tangent.
Megan is available, by the way. Megan is available for long walks on the beach.
Not in the woods.
And around the lake. And, a little channeling.
Really, teeth?
Teeth.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm sure they're all covered in glitter, too. Knowing that.
Technosexualism, people. Robot fetish. The more robot-y, the better. And these are not the kind that look like humans. I mean, the more like a watering can meets a lawnmower,
I'm sorry,
the sexier.
All I can think of is Danger Robots.
And who wants any of your tender bits caught in there? Those pinchers look harsh.
I just or the no.
I've seen that.
There's there's lots of really good looking robots. This is just really robot-y, right?
Right.
1950s, go to 1960s robot. Maybe harken back to an earlier, quieter time. Just fuck your robot.
Because there are some sexy ones, like the Alicia Vikander in the robot movie that is really good that I'm not thinking about. That just came out.
I like mechanophilia, car fucking.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not just talking about the drunk guys that are putting their stuff in the tailpipe. I'm talking like seriously.
No, we ran across someone who had made a padded opening on their car, and I think in one of the stories here, and like just screwed. I'm like, yeah, people really like their cars.
I feel like that one's a little pedestrian.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem that ordinary. I mean, unordinary, extraordinary,
and more. It's the most feasible of the list.
Yeah, so far. Yeah, I mean, it's.
Macrophilia, giant fucking, is number one.
For a second, I thought if we said macro, I went to macaroni and cheese. I must be.
Oh,
and I just, I don't.
No, that's comfort food fucking. That's a different list.
Just
saying.
The visual I have right now is
amazing. So yeah, I mean, there's only so many, really big people in the world. So I mean, I suppose.
And like I remember on this list, like real giants, like Andre went in a cut it. Like they want like real Goliath.
I mean, and there's
doesn't happen. People.
I mean, even if it's there's nothing practical about that.
But they could go to audible.com because they have like Bigfoot, dinosaur, giant erotica. I'm sure there's ghosts and robots, pretty much anything you can think of.
180,000 plus titles there. audibletrial.com/social. We're big fans here at the Great Northern Sex Cast. We thank them for their sponsorship. Please check it out.
Yeah.
They're the best segue they get.
I like that. So we gotta go back in time just a little bit. This is another Megan find here. And I'm very sorry, but this one completely cracks me up. Okay, tentacle rape. And these are antique fetishes, things that go way, way, way back. Tentacle rape. I am such an arachnophobe that this one freaks me out. But it started with a Japanese painting and this whole series of art that showed erotica with an octopus and a female, and it looks like a carpet munching octopus. The first one, the one that's in the article, it's frightening. So yeah, that's a thing now.
It's been a thing for a long time.
Well, ever since why am I? Is it Lovecraft? What Lovecraft did? Yeah. That's a tentacly beastie thing, right?
Big Cthulhu fan.
Yeah.
Oh, Cthulhu. Yeah. Right.
The encyclopedia of weirdness that this one is, it just never ceases to amaze and amuse me. Thank you, Megan, for being here. I'm so glad we have you.
I could picture it, but my brain just went. Because I got friends that are big, fantasy science fiction fans. I can't pronounce the word.
I'm just, I don't know about sitting on an old god's face.
Yeah, no, probably not that. But it's all tentacly. That's why I always remember all the tentacles. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Autoerotic asphyxiation is newer than I would have thought. 17th century. Took them that long to figure that out. But here's the thing. According to the FBI, 500 to 1,000 men in the United States die each year during autoerotic asphyxiation.
I do find it fascinating. I mean, it just, and every now and then, someone that's a little more famous will pass away and it will make the news again. And sometimes I'm just not sure whether or not people go, hey, I should try that, or hey, let's not do that. I mean, it's
right.
Yeah.
Who is it? David Carradine or something? If is his death from was there then a spike in people trying it or people wising up? That's not a game to play alone, folks.
No.
And Michael Hutchins, they still, it's still long thought. Rest his soul. That was a bummer of a day. At least 12, 20, maybe earlier, foot fetishism. And the thing that cracks me up about this is the list of humongous celebrities who are admittedly foot fetishist, and Jay Leno is one of them. Jay Leno.
Well, he likes cars, but he doesn't want to fuck them. So
he likes feet.
I bet he watches pedal pushing videos. Where it's just the feet that push down the gas pedals.
I'm sure his wife has the most intensely expensive petties of all time.
Oh, I bet. And anyone that dates Quentin Tarantino too.
He's one of them. Yeah. Necrophilia, 5th century BC, and this really is so gross. They talk about people. The mummification was to keep people from having sex with the corpses. That's why they wrapped him up. It was like a chastity belt, only full body. Ew.
I mean, you start rotting almost immediately. I mean, it's not like they had, that's probably why they figured out the embalming. So people are weird. I'm sorry, but human beings, we are just really fucked in the head sometimes.
You think?
Yeah.
I'm going to actually probably censor myself in this conversation. It doesn't happen too often.
No, it doesn't.
No,
So.
it's a dead. I suppose it just you rot fast. You bloat up. You got maggots. Your stomach is all. I mean, you ever seen like those the whales that wash up on the beach and then they have to poke them and the shit flies all over the place? It happens to like a human body and everything else too.
Well, they didn't have good refrigeration there either.
Smack you.
There is violence in the studio currently underway.
I always wondered if having sex with zombies was necrophilia. That's been my
if they're somewhat reanimated,
right? I mean, they are dead bodies, but they're moving around,
and if they've got some skills, who knows?
But things are falling off.
Well, you can pick them up and use them again.
I mean, suppose it was just a random penis. I don't know.
What do you
We
sell?
do have a couple of those movies.
There might be a few of those random penises for sale.
Coon Rapids, we have a zombie dick.
Do you really?
Coon Rapids right now as we speak. Everyone, rush out. There's only one, so fight your way to it.
You didn't stock up on those?
They're left because we get them for Crypticon.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Zoophilia. They talk about this being older than civilization itself, at least 8,000 BC. Oh my God. I don't even know how to describe some of this. Look at the link. Megan will repost it. But people masturbating with snakes, live snakes. I don't even talk about that one.
Oh, Jesus.
Well,
there was a guy that was, I'm pretty sure it was in Florida, that was arrested.
Of course it was.
For putting stealing had a python in his pants. He stole it from the pet store.
There's a python on my pants. Remember that song, There's a Party in My Pants and I Want Y'all to Come? It was a punk song from the 80s. Python in my pants.
I suppose there isn't, to some extent, if it fits, there isn't probably too much that people haven't stuffed in them. Really, let's.
Or stuffed. Yes.
Yeah.
Sadomasochism, they just want everyone to know that the Marquis de Sade did not start this.
No.
It's 470 BC at least. And the S&M artwork goes back way 2,500 years beyond.
Now, here's the deal. When you're talking about the artwork, are we talking about... See, people will confuse bondage and domination with sadism and masochism. I can't even
I know what
right
you
now.
meant.
Yeah, and it's you never quite know which one people are dealing with. It's going through there. Was there a cave painting of somebody tied up?
Yeah.
Or
well, they're talking about Tarquinia's Tomb of the Floggings contains some of the earliest erotic artwork known to man, almost 2,500 years old. So that would definitely be S&M. But I think I think you stumble on a point, Colleen. I think a lot of people that are of a more standard mindset probably could see bondage and BDSM as, or BD as S&M, because it's to them it's all
the same. It's all in the same same pond.
Same pond.
What I just realized is that you're all color coordinated. You have bright pink sheets and you with information, and you have a pink coffee cup. We were just if it was so gray out, you decided this morning had to be all pink.
I needed a little flourish. This gray shit outside is driving me. I went and picked up my stand-up paddleboard last Friday because it was gonna be so hot that day.
So you honestly, I look at these things.
They're huge,
and I'm like, that looks like more work than fun.
Oh, it's so fun.
Yeah,
I mean, they're awkward. I mean, to pick it up and carry it, because they're very unwieldy. I mean, mine's like 11 feet long. So, I mean, it's huge, and it's kind of, and it's, I can't get my arms all the way around it. But once I get that sucker in the lake and you get onto it, it's a blast. And I'm actually going to be doing yoga classes on it this summer. There's yoga on the lake.
I can't even stand up on. Ever since I busted my ankle, I can't even stand up on a trampoline without falling over. So my balance is shot.
So much fun.
Just look at those things. And I'm like, who thought this would be fun?
Oh my God, it's a blast to go out there. I mean, obviously I paddle around and I do that sort of thing, but I do stretching out there. But my one crazy little mutt, Greta, that dog has the most insane balance of any animal I've ever seen. She will swim out and she will jump on that board without knocking me off, which is coming straight out of the water. That's kind of impressive. She gets out, she goes with. Just beep, 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 beep. It's, Oh, Colleen, even, they told me that there's no rules. You can even sit on those and just paddle them like a canoe. You can do anything you want.
I think I would rather have a canoe. But, it's going through
Or kayak.
Kayaks are good. Hopefully, though, like I said, everything is still damned dry. So we'll get a couple more days of rain here so we can have that. And hopefully it will move north.
Yeah. And the wind. Can the wind please be done now for a little while? I'm a little sick of the wind. It's a little agitating. Why are we laughing?
I was watching my neighbor because it was rainy and windy, right?
Yeah.
He's out there in the rain today, down the block with a hose. He parked under a maple tree. His entire car was covered in maple seeds, the little helicopters. Yeah. And there was just he had the power washer out trying to get the tree crap off his car before he could go anywhere.
What are those beautiful, beautiful, amazing pink blooms that are out right now on some of the trees? And they only do it like dogwoods, I think.
Or magnolias. I think there's a pink and a white magnolia.
So they popped like 4 days ago, right? And then the wind and the rain, they're all falling already. I'm like, no, I want to see these for a couple more days.
Oh, it almost looked like it was snowing the other day with all of the cherry blossoms and all the other apple blossoms and stuff like that all over the place. And then it was cold out. My mom and I were driving to go pick up a car. We're like, wait, no, cherry blossoms. Okay. Well, it's the summer season. Keep in touch with us. Everybody's having losing lungs over here. Fantasy gifts, real busy festival season. Pride's coming up, all sorts of things. Stay in touch with our Facebook page, Great Northern Sex Cast on Facebook. Check out the links. Send us ideas. Send us pervy stuff you find. We love that. And so Megan Vaughn and Colleen Bertino, awesome job. We'll be back again next week. See you next week.
Bye.